What's up, everybody? Todd here with Citizen Defense. Welcome back to the channel. So this week I want to talk about what we need to do as shooters to develop that 1 second or sub-second draw to first shot from concealment.
108. That one was a 9.7. 9.6. I dropped a Charlie on that one. That one was another 9.6.
Now, this can become somewhat of a parlor trick if you do it all the time, but a real test of where your on-demand performance is with this is on something with a sustained string of fire, where you know you're not just firing that one round and everything has to be structured non-par for those rounds fired coming after that. An example of that is something like a bill drill, right? Or just firing 3 or 4 rounds after that first one, right? And getting those aggressive rounds out. I will tell you, typically for me, if I'm just doing draw to first shot, I can get in that sub-second range, but typically if I'm shooting something like a bill drill, somewhere around the 1 second, 108, maybe 1-1 mark is more realistically where I'm going to be, because I'm trying to make sure that everything is still in place with my grip for those follow-up shots as well that are coming behind that. Okay, so that's just being real with ourselves. But when it comes to developing a 1 second or sub-second draw, there are a couple of things that are going to come into play that are going to be very crucial for this. That is going to be hand speed, efficiency, consistency, and understanding visual confirmation, right? How much of the sights we actually need to see before we can press the trigger. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to try to go through all of those and the steps that you should take to help develop this and build up to that point, because we can easily say that I'm just going to throw on a spicy time on my shot timer and roll with it, and eventually I'll get there. But we do need to build up to that, and I'll explain why. So whenever we start off with whatever our draw times are going to be, now for sure you're going to have to start developing this, you're going to need a shot timer. Okay, these packed ones are good. The Shears Globals Go are the same price as these. I'd recommend those. I've yet to get one yet, but it is, and I'm planning to get it in the future. So yeah, when it starting off, specifically from concealment, we need to start figuring out our efficiency, right? We need to make sure that when we're getting the gun out, building our grip soon, and we're presenting directly to the same small spot on the target, and that we're not bouncing, we're not driving, anything like that. We need the dot to be there when we present to the target. Okay, easiest way to do this is going to be straight lines, right? Not doing big dips, hooks. I will tell you, whenever I draw, when I'm come from concealment, as I may be muzzle up, but as I'm coming to target, I'm leveling out, right? So the dot may be perceived as it's coming from the top, but really I'm just leveling out. Okay, and as soon as that dot presents, I can press the trigger. Dummy round in the chamber. I don't know if you can see it, but it's inert, right? This is safe for dry fire. But that's where my presentation lies, right? So I'm marrying my grip as soon as I come out. I'm building my grip as soon as I can, and as I'm presenting from that higher position, right, I'm leveling out. So I'm trying to keep everything in straight of lines as I can. If I'm doing it from my competition belt, same concept, right? I'm coming straight lines. If you're coming from here, you're doing a scoop draw, whatever, I'm coming straight to this point. I'm not taking deviations to get there, right? Because the moment that we start deviating in our presentation, like big humps and draws and things like that, it's going to cost us time, and we're going to be struggling to get past that. Next thing is going to be consistency. Am I consistently clearing my garment? Am I consistently getting my dominant hand? Am I getting my grip on the firearm? Am I consistently marrying my support hand, getting that same spot, that good contact every single time. All those things are going to come into play whenever we start pushing really spicy times, okay? So we need to really work on those fundamentals and really get that into play, because that's going to be very beneficial to our end result performance, okay? When it comes to where we want to start on this scale, right? I would say if you have an idea of what your draw to first shot time is, say your average time is around, let's say you're at 1.5 seconds, right? I would take it down 1/4 of a second, go down to 1.25 on your par timer and see how that feels. If you're starting to experiment with a par timer, with a par time that is a little bit outside of your comfort zone, things are probably going to get sloppy. Okay. You're going to feel that you were rushing the timer. Your grip might have not been there. Your presentation might have not been quite right, or you pressed the trigger before you even really saw the sights. Okay. That is a sign that we need to step back from that incrementally, right? So if I went to from a 1.5 to a 1.25, and that was too much for me to like be able to get everything in, like I did 3 or 4 reps of that, and it's like, man, like everything's just chaos when I'm trying to push this time, then I would go back to like a 1.4 or a 1.3 or something like that, and then try to ride that borderline of uncontrolled feeling in dry fire, right? And once I can start getting that pace, and I can do that consistently, then I'm going to go back down to that 1.25 and then just keep progressing and progressing from there. Now, let it be noted, when it comes to shot timers, um, I don't know the exact specs of how it goes from like the duration of the beep. Okay, part of that time from the duration of your beep from your start and the duration of your end beep is going to be some sort of time to consider, right? So I can tell you, like if I have a 1 second par on this, I can draw and present to target before the end of the beep on that one. That doesn't always translate to a 1 second draw live fire. Okay. For me to get closest to 1 second, I'm looking at actually from start to beep to end of beep. For me to be able to press that trigger is going to be like a 0.75, right? That's going to give you a more realistic idea of what you're going to hear audibly to be able to work within. And I'm going to give you a demo of that here, right? So we've just talked about incrementally making that step down in time, trying to get to those spicier standards. So that's really what's going to help us build up to it. I'm going to get some par time set up here. You will need a dry fire, some sort of reference point, cut out A zone, something. If you need dry fire targets, I have printable ones on my website, which I will have linked below there, 1/3 scale. So every foot equals a yard in visual representation. And their target focus, they have a spot for your visual focus to help with that. So let me turn some things around here, turn lights on a little bit more, and we can see what we're working with. Okay, I've got some things turned around a little bit. I've got some dry fire targets moved so I can still use my lighting and everything. But we've got my par timer here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a par time on this, okay? So let's start off. Let's do it at an actual, like a 1 second par time, okay? And see what that looks like. Now, the big thing when it comes to developing a 1 second or a sub-second draw is going to be your hand speed, right? Getting your hands on the gun and getting it out in front of your face sooner, because the sooner we have the sights in front of our face, the sooner we can confirm our sights on target where we need them to be, the quicker we can press the trigger, okay? I am not going any faster from here to here, right? I am a little bit more consistent and I come off the gas. It may be hard to perceive in the video, but I'm telling you, when I draw and I'm getting about right here, I'm coming off to the gas a little bit. That's going to let my sights land where I need them to do. And ultimately, for visual confirmation in relation to 7 yards and shooting this quickly, I'm ultimately reacting to color, right? I see red on the target in the A zone. What I need to do, I'm pressing the trigger immediately, right? I'm not waiting till I see a crisp, clean dot. Now, I have been working here lately in dry fire trying to help develop my vision at this speed that I can start to perceive the dot clearly, right? Like I'm working on my hand speed and presentation to get in front of my face so quickly that it buys me a little bit of a time, that fraction of a second to be able to recognize that, okay, clean dot, press the trigger. Will my eyes get there? I'm not sure, but I'm working on that development just to give you something to look towards as well. Okay. All right. So let's do 1 second here. Like I said, when it goes to hand speed, typically when you start off and you start feeling like you're really rushing and racing the timer, you're probably either going to miss your garment, miss your grip, miss your support hand grip. Something like that is going to happen, and that's where we want to back off a little bit. Okay. So let's see what 1 second does. I typically just set mine on the side, whatever you want to do, inert round, dummy, right? Okay, had quite a bit of time there, really didn't rush, was still trying to maintain that hand speed a little bit. Let's try it again. Okay, well within the 1 second time. Let's try it again. Okay, that was well within the 1 second par time. So now that I know I can do that, I'm gonna back it down. So let's take it down to, let's say I do this incrementally, and I'm going to go down to a 9.8. Okay. All right. All right. So as you can see there, within the par time. Okay. And right there at this speed, my vision is able to confirm like, yep, dot land on the A zone, I can press the trigger. Okay. Now, as I start going down in pace, I'm going to have a bit more or a bit less of visual confirmation that is needed, right? If I can confirm color on the A, within the A zone, I'm pressing the trigger. So that is on a 9.8 par. As you can see, I'm really pushing that hand speed right. I'm not slouching. Especially when it comes from appendix. For me, the biggest key that I have found to success in this avenue is that I'm not trying to get my thumb behind the grip, right? If I'm trying to do that, it's taking me time because I'm having to force my hand behind it. It's easier for me to just like kind of, as I'm drawing, like my hand's going to the gun, I already have my hand formed kind of like in this cup here. And so whenever I just have to slap my hand on it, as you can see, my fingers are staged, hooked, my thumb's on the back. As I draw and present or draw an index towards the target, my thumb just has to lay over and my hand's where it needs to be. And then I just mount up with my support hand. Hope that makes sense. So we took it down to a 9.8. Let's see what that does. And I try to, just so you know, if I can be in between the beeps from my reaction time, from where I reacted, hopefully at the B in beep, right? I can finish my sequence before the B in the next beep. That would be ideal. But if I'm trying to allow myself, like, hey, I can allow myself to the end of the beep, right? As long as I commit my sequence to the end of the beep, just keep in mind that that actually may be a little bit of added time versus what you're actually what you're perceiving on time versus what's actually registering on the shot timer, right? So that was a 9.8. Definitely pushed a little bit more hand speed. That one was a very, very clean presentation. Saw a clean dot on that one. I'll do 9.8 one more time, see if I can replicate that. So that was about the same. Support hand was a little bit off, but you understand where we're getting at here. So what I'm going to do is
go in, change the par time. So now I'd take this down to, let's really get on the gas and let's take this down to a 7.5. All right. Now, in my opinion, from start of beep to end of beep, this is closer to a 1 second par time, right? So I'm probably at a 7.5. Like, I'm not going to beat that. I'm probably going to be my trigger press like at the end, like the end of the P and beep, if that makes sense, right? But what this is forcing me to do, it is forcing me to get on the gun, get the gun out, present the target, and as soon as I confirm it, I'm pressing the trigger, right? Starts feeling sloppy, like I said, I would take it back up to like an 8.0 or an 8.5 or something like that. When I'm coming down in these times, if I have it at a 7.5, am I going to run realistically a 7.5 draw to first shot? No, I'm not. But because I'm cranking out those times, it's forcing me to start doing things to the point of where the wheels fall off. And then if I can start working that consistently, like that feels kind of normal, I can really start to perform in live fire, and I'm going to see the difference. The biggest thing is that our eyes, our mind, and our hands experience what it feels like to go this quickly, because if we don't experience what it feels like to go this quickly, then we're never really going to get there, right? 7.5 par time. So I was a little late on that one. Terrible grip. Settle down. There it is. So I already had in my mind I got to be quick off the go on this one. So I kind of slopped up my draw a little bit. Kind of had to center myself, come back. It's okay. It happens. Let's do 7.5 again. Okay, so that one there, dot planted right there in the A zone, pretty much was finishing my trigger press at the P at the end of the beep. So now I'm going to take it down to where I keep it at now when I'm working on my draw. And this is just me trying, mostly forcing myself visual confirmation and consistency in presentation, right? So now I'm taking this down to a 6.9. Y'all probably can't see that on the camera, but like I know that I'm working outside of the time standards that I can actually perceive. But like 7.0 and getting down to like 6.9, it really is realistically from start of beat to end of beat probably closer to sub-second. So as you can see with that one compared to the others, I really got to push hand speed on this, right? And so as soon as the sight parks, I'm not wasting any time and I'm pressing the trigger. One more time. That one was a little late. Dot didn't quite land where I wanted. But this is what we're going to really have to focus on if we want that sub-second, 1 second draw on demand, right? Granted, that may not be absolute all the time because we all have our off days, whether we're mentally with it or not. But for me, my goal is if I can have a 108 or a 1 second draw to first shot on a sustained string of fire on an off day, I'm happy with that, right? If I can consistently do sub seconds on demand on good days, I'm really happy with that as well. Okay, so just understanding our goals, what we're trying to do, and the realities or the realistic application of this. When it comes to self defense, I absolutely think that a 1 second, sub second draw to first shot is crucial, right? Being able to have that on demand can be very, very valuable because we always see that typically the person who gets rounds on target first wins the fight. So if I can get it in that time frame and get accurate hits on target first, that's what I'm looking for. But I hope this helps you understand really how we break down the draw, how we need to develop our hand speed, efficiency, consistency, and our visual confirmation, right? The bad thing, I really wish that when it came to all this stuff, I had like cameras in my eyes, right? So that y'all could actually see the dot and see what I see, because I can talk about visual confirmation, but without seeing and your mind understanding what's actually going on there, what we're confirming on, that tells us, hey, it's okay to press the trigger now, it's kind of hard to articulate that. But I'm doing the best that I can, and I hope it helps. So that's all I got for y'all this week. If y'all like what I'm doing, please get down there, like this video, share it with your friends, hit the subscribe button to follow me and keep up with everything else. I got some collaborations coming up here in the future very soon. Get down in the comments. Let me know what you think about sub-second draw. Have you reached that goal? Have you not? Are you working for it? If you have questions about it, get down in the comments. And also go follow me on Instagram, right? That is at citizen_defense, same as this one. I am pretty shadow banned on there, so you will probably have to type out the full name if you have to. Dry fire targets and all that will be linked in the bottom down here, so you can go straight to my website and print those out. Hope everybody has a great week. Get to dry firing. Stay safe.